So for Detroit sports this week, the Tigers wrap up spring training as now the 2025 MLB season will begin underway Monday. The Red Wings' free fall into mediocrity continues to roll on with the start of the 4-game road trip, while the Pistons, on the other hand, continue to inch even closer and closer to making it back to the playoffs, and still stay in contention for that 4 seed and second in the division. So let's take a look at how Detroit sports wrapped up this week. So, of course, Tigers spring training wrapped up this week, as this week they had a couple wins, a few losses, even a 0-0 tie against Atlanta. Wait, a 0-0 tie against 0-0 tie at baseball? When the fuck did this ever become soccer? That's something you don't see every day, especially in baseball. Usually you see that type of tie in fucking soccer, not goddamn baseball. But yeah, the good news is no more spring training, no more preseason. The preseason is now complete. Tigers have looked really good throughout preseason. Even Spencer Torkelson had a really good spring training. The question for Torkelson is, can that great spring training translate to a good season this year? I always say, is it better? Because Torkelson has been a pretty big disappointment, especially considering he's a former first overall pick. So he better start living up to that first overall pick hype he had coming out. But yeah, of course, the Tigers season officially starts Monday night in San Francisco against the Giants. As yeah, the Tigers' first 8 games of the season are on the road. Like, the Tigers' home opener isn't until April 4th against the White Sox. Yeah, against good old Chitoilet. So yeah, we got a little ways to wait until the home opener, aka the Detroit opening day. But baseball season is officially here. Play ball! I mean, for the Tigers, the expectation is not only make it back to the playoffs, but maybe contend for the AL Central. And possibly go and get a World Series ring, especially considering that this could possibly be 3 school balls last year since the Tigers lowballed him. And this could be the last bit of baseball we get this year, because the current MLB CBA expires at the end of the year. And there is no signs of a new deal yet, and a lot of signs are pointing toward a lockout in 2026. But yeah, let's enjoy this 162 games of Tigers baseball while we can. In the meantime, play ball. The one Detroit team that isn't playing ball right now, hell, they're not even playing hockey right now, is the Red Wings. As the Wings started their 4-game road trip this week with 2 games. First off, starting in Washington, where they completely look like complete dog shit against Washington. Wolves get embarrassed by the Capitals. And they take that road trip to Vegas and get completely embarrassed by the Golden Knights. Even PK Subban was ripping on the Red Wings in the booth, talking about how bad the defense is, even ripping on Justin Hall. Like, the Vegas game just exposed how bad the Red Wings defense is. And I think a lot of that blame falls on Steve Yzerman for his free agent signings not being well. Like, let's be honest, Steve Yzerman, he can draft well, and then what? And sadly, his draft picks don't mean anything when you sign a bunch of fucking vets just to take up roster space to keep the young guys from making the roster. Like, literally, in terms of free agency, Yzerman is just making the same mistakes as Ken Holland. And yeah, the Red Wings are now 5 points out of a playoff spot right now, as time is slowly running out, which 5 points is 2.5 games. So, Wings are literally free-falling again. And this time, there's no Larkin injury, and there's no Derek Lalonde to blame this time. Only themselves. But I'll tell you right now, if the Wings miss the playoffs this year, I think a lot of people are going to start calling for Yzerman's head, or at least really start questioning what the fuck is going on. Like, I'll be honest, in terms of the accountability here, most of the blame this year will fall on Steve Yzerman. But yeah, just very disappointing. After a very promising start to the year, especially when we got Todd McClellan in the Todd Father, and now all that's coming down and crashing and burning. Just very disappointing. Detroit basketball! Now, one Detroit team that hasn't been disappointing this week was the Pistons. As the Pistons continue their march to inch closer toward the standings, starting the week off with a good old belt to ass whooping against the Pelicans, beating the Pelicans by 46 points, which is the second largest win in Pistons franchise history, points-wise. So, really, they really gave the Pelicans belt to ass, just absolutely dominate them. And that game against the Pelicans comes with a few caveats, because with the Pistons beating the Pelicans by that much, the Pelicans have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. Damn, not only are the Pistons making teams trade their best players away after they lose to Detroit is now eliminating teams from playoff contention and sending them to elimination station. Never thought you'd ever hear that since in 2025, but hey, if the shoe fits, I guess. And there's also another caveat with that game against the Pelicans. Because with the win against the Pelicans, the Pistons have officially clinched a spot. At least in the play-in tournament. So we'll have a little postseason action. No, we're not doing a goddamn playoff-bound graphic for a fucking play-in tournament. Clinch a top 6 spot, and then I'll do the graphic. We're not doing it to celebrate that stupid fucking play-in. Fuck off. So then the Pistons continue on the road trip as they then head to Miami. And it was a hard-fought battle with the Heat, again, Miami against the Heat. In the end, Cade Cunningham once again proved why he was him in the closing seconds. But of course, we already know why. We already knew that Cade was him. As Cade would then hit the game-winning shot, just as the buzzer expired to seal the win for the Pistons. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was in attendance for that game. Interesting that Amon-Ra St. Brown was on the road in Miami. He must be doing some off-season activities in Florida this week with some of the Lions teammates. But yeah, Sun God got a really good shot of it. Absolute beautiful money shot from Amon-Ra. Thought this showcase how Cade is him. And then the road trip ends with a rough loss in Dallas. As the Dallas Mavericks, they were looking to get revenge after what happened the last time we played them. Because we all know what happened the last time we played them. Because that was what led to the Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers. And for everybody to go, what the hell? So it's very clear the Dallas Mavericks were very pissed off about it. Because we ended the Luka Doncic era. And probably sent Dallas back into fucking mediocrity. Because they aren't going to do anything special with the goddamn unibrow. Especially since the unibrow, Anthony Davis, is washed up. But that was the one disappointing game this week where they lost. Just fell short. They fought hard with Dallas. Just Dallas was hell-bent on getting revenge, and they got it. Dallas got their revenge in a way. Like, Dallas won the battle, but they won't win the damn war. But Detroit, they would bounce back Sunday at home in a game against the Pelicans, where the Pelicans actually fought with the Pistons hard. In this game, in the Sunday game against the Pelicans, they did not have Cade Cunningham, as Cade was out with a calf sprain, so Cade was on rest. But of course, everyone on the team stepped up to the plate, especially Ron Holland. As Ron Holland had a 25-5-5 game against the Pelicans to help lead the Pistons to the win, 136-130. As the Pistons got the win against the Pelicans, sweeping the Pelicans in the season series. So we sweep in New Orleans now. And Ron Holland really living up to the hype he had coming out of college when he was drafted 5th overall last year. Here's the crazy part about how good Ron Holland is. He's this good now. And he is nowhere near his peak. He's only 19 years old. So he's only going to get better as the years go on. So definitely the future is definitely bright for Ron Holland. Maybe Ron will be Cade's partner in crime. That is if Jaden Ivey can't stay healthy. But Holland definitely stepped up to the plate. I'm very impressed by the kid. Not bad. So of course, with the win against the Pelicans, the Pistons, we're now entering the last 10 games of the season, the last sprint to the finish. As the Pistons still remain in 6th, they're 4.5 games ahead of Atlanta for that 6th spot, for the top 6 spot. And they're 2 games now behind Indiana for that fourth in the Eastern Conference. As the race is still on as the Pistons are still looking at getting the 4th, so they can get that final home court advantage spot for the playoffs. And also, with the Pistons at 40-32 with 10 games left, the Pistons are also 1 game away from finishing at least 500, and they're 2 games away from having a winning record, which I believe if they get a winning record, it will be the first time since, I believe, 2016 that the Pistons finished a season with a winning record. Like, the best they've done since then was like that 2019 when they went 41-41 and got swept by Milwaukee. But yeah, the Pistons, they're inching very closer to a playoff spot. Still ways to go. Like, we're in the last 10 games. And this next week for the Pistons is going to be pretty rough. Because, well, outside of San Antonio, we got the game against San Antonio, but San Antonio is going to play hard since the Spurs are only a couple games out from making the play-in. And then after that, it gets pretty tough because they play playoff teams right after that, especially Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be an absolute dogfight. And then you got Minnesota, which Minnesota's still trying to fight to get into the top 6 in the Western Conference. But yeah, gonna be a very interesting run to the end of the year. But of course, the goal is always simple: not only clinch a playoff spot, but another goal simply, which won't happen to the Pistons. So right now, since they're locked in the postseason, but for everybody else competing for a spot in the playoffs, they only have 1 goal left: don't get eliminated. See you next week. I'm out.